So we could say at one level, there is fully formed thought, fully formed judgment, fully formed experience of the mind, which means the sense of moving through time, the sense of knowing where we come from, knowing where we're going, a feeling that we're in control in such a way that we can manipulate the future. We can make things happen the way we want them to. We can avoid uncomfortable situations. We can avoid painful experiences, and we can move toward more enjoyable, more pleasurable experiences. This layer of identity, this layer of experience, we could call it a more superficial layer of experience. There's nothing fundamentally wrong with it, but if we look closely, we'll see that it's formed out of a bunch of thoughts, a bunch of beliefs, a bunch of judgments, a bunch of interwoven identity structures. Now, if we follow our experience right now a little deeper, we might notice the substance of the thoughts themselves. We might notice that we can actually become aware of thoughts as such. So in this moment, I can become aware that there's a judgment moving through my mind that says, what happened this morning was uncomfortable, or I'm not looking forward to the conversation I have to have with so-and-so. Oh, I see, that's a thought. I can see that that's made out of thought stuff. That in some sense, it could just as easily be a concern about something else. I can also see that whatever I was concerned with in the past may have felt just as real and just as important, but the subject matter was completely different. So when we're at this level of experience, when we see thoughts as thoughts, we are freed up a little bit. We start to see that the sense of urgency, the sense of grasping, the sense of a need to have things a certain way or the way we think we want them isn't completely defined by thought. It's not defined by the way we're interpreting our momentary experience. Perhaps it's defined more by emotion or more by the underlying sense that if we don't get things the way we want them, we may not have control, or we may feel emotions that we don't want to feel. So at this layer of experience, we start to get a little bit behind the scenes. We're pulling back the curtain. We're starting to see what's really pulling the levers. It's not so much the world that we perceive ourselves to live in time, and the subject matter of the thoughts that go through our mind all day long. But what seems to be running the show is more our reaction body, the underlying experience we have surrounding what we're avoiding or what we're trying to grasp onto. And it tends to be more of the emotional flavor. As we go even deeper, we start to get into this place of raw emotion or raw physical experience. Emotion here we could maybe define as energy in motion, a response to the environmental conditions, both internal and external. Here things are extremely close, intimate. We also don't feel like we have the kind of control we do in the mind. We don't imagine ourselves standing back from experience and pulling strings to make the experience go the way we want to. We also don't feel like we're back inside the head looking out through the eyes, or back inside the body looking out through the senses, manipulating the environment. Rather, we feel intertwined with the senses themselves. We start to feel intertwined with the body sense. And when we first come in contact with this, we can be surprised by how much resistance we actually have to it. Just the mere ongoing sensation and connection with the body sensations that are responding to the environment, with all of the events that occur in life, the interactions with other people, the emotional responses like sadness, like jealousy, like fear, all these natural physiologic experiences which are reactions to the environment, we might find a heck of a lot of resistance, like this level of experience is something I don't even want to feel. Many people don't even touch down into this. They don't realize it's here. And if they're listening to a video like this can become very uncomfortable at this point. So this is where we start to see the powerful underlying patterns, essentially, of resistance, avoidance, and the perception of control that really govern our sense of self, but also our sense of what's important and what's not important. It also flavors and conditions all of the layers of identity above that we've already discussed. So physiologically speaking, or speaking from the layer of the individual, we are at a very deep level of identity. Now, if we go even deeper, we start to come in contact with something that gets very difficult to talk about. It feels so intimate, so close, that we stop being able to perceive distance at all. We are not so much the perceiver of the physical experience, and even to say we are the physical experience itself stops making sense because things are so merged here. You could almost say that they're undifferentiated or unmanifest. That whatever we're experiencing hasn't turned into something solid yet, hasn't turned into something defined yet, hasn't formulated a frame of reference yet. So if we're able to get to this level of experience, or to perceive this level of experience, this level of what we call identity, then we have access to the structure of identity itself. Indeed, we have access to whatever it is that makes it appear that there's identity in the first place, that there's separate identity, that there's a separate individual that has been living in this set of conditions we call our life, our body, our mind, at all those layers that we've mentioned. And we can actually directly investigate, where is that? What is that made out of? Does it exist at all? Is it necessary? This is a very instinctual level of experience, and indeed it's where the individual, or the seeming individual, meets something quite universal. Perhaps it's what Jung was talking about when he described the collective unconscious. But instinctually we know, we start to feel that we are a very small part, or what we've been taking ourselves to be is a very small part of what's actually happening. Now, often when we experience this, we'll bounce back up into the mind and turn it into a story and say, oh, I've become one with everything, or I realized I'm God, but that's really not how this is. This is actually an invitation to go even deeper. This is a portal into a place that's so impossible to talk about, so difficult to describe or talk about, that I can only really point you to your own instinct and say, you can go through that door. Beyond that door, words don't even start to touch. But I can say things like it's unborn, or it's unmanifest, undifferentiated, indeterminate, unconditioned, empty of any abiding experience, reality, nature, view. But none of those really do it justice. Just know that when you've traversed these levels of identity, when you've come to this very, very fundamental place, there's still some barrier that can be crossed. How do you do it? It's very difficult for me to tell you how to do it, because talking about how is usually where we are at a more superficial layer. Here, things are so instinctual that all I can really say about it is some part of you, deep, deep down inside, knows where to go. This is why certain questions like, what was your face before your parents were born, are so potent. Or what is mu? Or who am I? Assuming that you understand I does not refer to a thought. It doesn't refer to a memory or a belief. It has to go deeper. These questions are like elevators that can take you all the way down through all of these layers of identity to this fundamental pass, to this place where, again, it's an instinctual movement to cross over, to know what is it that's fundamental even to anything you've ever taken yourself to be, to identity itself, to form, to time and space. There is a way to know this, but not with the mind, not even with the physical body. It has to go beyond. You have to go beyond. And all I can say about it is something in you knows how to do this. So, to more practical business, we are at that time in the month where I get to announce where all of the proceeds from this channel go to. So in May, we made about $900, I think, 900 to 1,000, somewhere in there. I'll put it on the screen here. So the charity I'm going to donate to this month is a really good one. It's called Covenant House. This is an organization where 85% of all donations go to the services rendered by the organization. So what they do is they give homeless teens a place to live, help them get on their feet, help them with coping mechanisms, emotion work, practical considerations like getting IDs, finishing school, getting GEDs, etc. And for many teens, this is the only place they have to turn to when they have nowhere else to go. So I think it's a very good organization, and if you're looking for something to donate to, I would look into it. I believe they operate in 6 countries, but are primarily located in the United States. That's all I got for now.